Sports Shop and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. I hope you're having yourselves a fantastic morning this morning. I hope you're waking up with a smile on your face and positivity in your heart, goodness in your mind, all of that. I hope that you're taking care of yourself and being good to you. So, a very good morning to each and every single one of you, and my absolute best to each and every single one of you today as we get set for a wake-up call with Dan Tortora to truly remember. So, happy Tuesday. I want to give a congratulations before I go anywhere. I want to give a congratulations to Buddy Boeheim for becoming the, I believe, 64th player in history, in team history at Syracuse Orange men's basketball, for becoming part of the 1,000-point club. So I want to wish Buddy Boeheim a giant congratulations on that. Appreciate him very, very much so. And he's somebody that I've known and I've spoken to for years. I think over a year before he came into Syracuse. And then, obviously his entire time at Syracuse. I'll be airing my conversation with him, my Q&A with him following last night's win over North Carolina 72-70. I will be airing that right after the show today, so make sure you stay tuned for that on our social media, on Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, Twitter at CallDT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. Be sure to share that with you today. So I want to congratulate Buddy once again. Awesome win by Syracuse, and awesome to be there inside of the Dome to see it all happen as Syracuse gets a victory over North Carolina. North Carolina came into the game 15-8. And they had a 9-5 record inside of the ACC. Now they're 9-6, and just one game above Syracuse at 8-7. And looking at the fact that Syracuse is now, in a place where they're 14-8, so they're very close to North Carolina overall in record, and they're very close to North Carolina in the ACC record as well inside of the conference. Syracuse came into the game 9th in the ACC. And North Carolina was 6th, and now that gap has been closed a little bit here, shortened a little bit, I should say. Hopefully that puts Syracuse in a situation where they can rise up the rankings, because remember, they only have one more regular season game. It's this Wednesday at 5 p.m. inside of the Dome on Wednesday, March 3rd. And so after that, the seeding will be set for the ACC tournament to be played down in Greensboro, North Carolina. So I'm definitely looking forward to what Syracuse can do, and if they can close that gap even more, get a win against Clemson, and see if they can do a little bit better in their seeding and help themselves out as the tournament gets set to go. That tournament's going to be from March 9th to the 13th, and it will officially end a day before Selection Sunday. It used to end on Selection Sunday, and now it ends a day before, so it'll end on Saturday the 13th, and on Sunday the 14th, we will see Selection Sunday happen and 68 teams be chosen to go into the Division I men's basketball tournament. It was so difficult to think that we were going to be here, right? That there was going to be a tournament, that there was going to be life to this thing, that we were actually going to get to see college basketball this season, let alone see college basketball play, 20-plus games, play their conference tournament, and more than anything, that there was going to be a March Madness, because last year there wasn't, and that was unheard of. That really kind of hit people. I think to some people that kind of made things real, because maybe you thought, like, you know what, it's not really that big. And like I said, Corona kind of felt like it crept into this country. It hit home for me in March because of the tournament, because of the ACC tournament. And my gut feeling of not to go down there, because my buddy had called me and said, listen, there was 5 people that went through the Charlotte airport that tested positive. There's people in Raleigh that were at an event, and, that event up in Boston, and they came back home, and this, that, and whatever. So it really put me in a place where and then that night, because I was asking God for a sign. And so after all of that night, the NBA and the NHL and the MLB and the MLS all said that they were going to restrict media access and keep the media out of locker rooms. And I was like, well, I think the ACC will probably follow suit very soon here. And they did the next morning at like 10 a.m. So, that's how quickly things changed for me. And I can't believe that was a year ago, but it was. And so now as I look at life today, I'm just happy that we had a season. I'm happy that I got to be in the Dome. I'm grateful to Syracuse University. I'm grateful to the athletic department, the men's basketball team. I'm grateful to God above everything. I'm grateful to hard work, dedication, and determination on my part. And, I'm happy that there was a season to cover and that I got to be one of the very, 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 very few people that was in the Dome for football and basketball season. Really do appreciate that, and I feel very honored by it. So, with that being stated, it means a lot to me, and that's a positive that I take out everything that's happened this past year. And the fact that we've gotten to a tournament, is a great feeling. It's a great feeling that we've gotten here, and hopefully we can kick it off safely and continue it safely and securely and keep people healthy and keep them well, and hopefully people will be happy in the bubble and not drive themselves crazy, and we can move forward here together. And I got a good morning from Gene Waldron. Good morning, brother. I hope you're doing well. So to everybody out there, I send you my positivity. I send you peace. I send you all the best, because we all need each other, right? We all need somebody. And how's the song go? It's oh wow, I can't think of it right now. But the song "Lean on Me" when you're not strong and you need a friend, I'll help you carry on. So I mean, if you need it today, if you need a friend, if you need somebody to be there for you, I hope that I can. I hope that this show can put a smile on your face. I hope that it can put some glee in your heart, some positivity, and that we can move forward together, because life is about positivity, right? It's about surrounding yourself with good, and it's about being part of that good, and being part of the solution and not part of the problem. So I hope that this day finds you well. If it doesn't, then I hope that we can help remedy that a little bit here and do what we can to put a smile on your face today. So my best to each and every single one of you this morning. We got a great show prepared, and I'm very excited about the guests that I'm going to have on the broadcast. Today we'll be featuring, in just a couple minutes at 9:15 a.m. Eastern Time, inside of MonPawsPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. We'll be featuring Bryan Kersey. Bryan Kersey will be joining us from the ACC. He is the coordinator of officiating there. You know that we made it official starting this week's show off and starting March off officially on March 1st. So officially on the first day of March, starting the month off with officials Mike Kitts and Mike Kitts Jr. We'll continue, and I mentioned Bryan in that show. We'll continue with Bryan Kersey today, who will be talking with us about the ACC and giving us his thoughts on the 15 schools in the ACC, the upcoming ACC tournament, what he's had to do as a coordinator of officiating, and really dive in to the conference that Syracuse is a part of. So to my Notre Dame fans and my Louisville fans, Duke and North Carolina, Georgia Tech, Virginia, Miami, Florida State, Boston College, Pittsburgh, and Clemson, and Wake Forest, and I think I hit everybody, NC State. For my fans of the ACC, definitely this is your time to tune in to hear what Bryan has to say as the coordinator of officiating. He'll be joining us, like I said, in just a minute. And then at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time, we've got Joe Forgione, my co-host when I did MU Courtside. He'll be joining us today. Very excited to have him on the broadcast this morning to have some fun with us. And we always have laughs. We always talk about life. And we'll get into sports a little bit too. So a lot of great stuff coming up with Joe at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time. And we'll round out the show on Tuesday, as we always do, with the ingredients to success, proudly brought to you by Avicolli's on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York. So with all of that being stated, let's take a step aside for a fast break. From inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora wishes you a happy March 2nd, and we'll be with you right after this fast break with Bryan Kersey.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Very happy to be hanging out with you inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. You're also watching on Facebook Live on facebook.com/livenowdt, as well as on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. So however you're connected with the show, thank you so much for tuning in. Like I said, inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, Cafe Kubal proudly with locations on 3501 James Street, 208 North Townsend Street, 401 South Salina Street, and 324 West Water Street in Syracuse, and then also out in Manlius at 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York. So make sure you head out there today and support local and support Central New York. With that being said inside of MonPazPopcorn.com is what's poppin'. Bryan Kersey is our first guest of the day, and he is the coordinator of officiating for the ACC on the men's basketball side. Appreciate the fact that we have Bryan here with us this morning. And, you know, a lot of ACC talk coming up here, a lot of things going on. In a week from today, the ACC tournament will begin, so perfect time to have him on the show. Let's bring him in. Bryan, how are we doing today?
Good, D. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, and it's been a minute. You know, it's been a minute since you and I talked, so catch me up here. What's going on with life? How you been? How's the family? I know you got some little ones running around in the family, so what's going on?
Yeah, things are good. I've got a 15-month-old granddaughter that I guess has benefited from this pandemic because she's got to spend some time with me, and I tell everybody she's my favorite anyway. It's been a lot different. You know, basketball's crazy. It's been a long year. It's been a challenging year, but it's been it's one that we've learned a lot on things we can do differently. So it's been good in those aspects. The family's good. My wife is head of school for small private schools, and they've actually been in the whole time. And my daughter teaches second grade at a private school, and they've been in the whole time. So they've done well. Small private away from the and they've COVID. Actually been in the whole time. And my daughter away and teaches It's second grade. My wife is definitely ready for me to leave next week. They've been in the whole
Yeah.
I've not been anywhere. I've not seen one
They've done
game
well.
in
They've
person.
stayed away from
But I have 6
COVID.
TVs now.
Our
I
students have
have
stayed
stayed
away.
away. Here at home. I think my wife is definitely ready for me to leave next week. Sit here and watch TV. I've not been anywhere. I've not seen one game in person.
And you said you got 6
but I have
TVs
6
now. So
TVs
what's it
now.
like
I
living
have
in the
2
Matrix?
in my office here at home.
Totally different. It's
been,
you
sit
know,
here and
you
watch
only
TV.
have 1 or 2 games going on. You
Yeah,
watch
I know.
them on 2 TVs.
And you
one
said you
with,
got 6
actual
TVs
live
now.
feed
So
and
what's
one
it
with
like
the
living in the
stream feed.
Matrix?
So if you miss anything,
It's
you
totally
can go back
different.
and look at it. You can rewind everything.
You only have 1 or 2 games going on.
I've learned to do a lot with TVs. One with actual live. I've actually got 2 TVs that are hooked up to our replay system.
You can go back and look at it,
get
and
involved.
rewind
I don't get
everything
involved
nowadays,
in
as everybody
decisions,
knows.
but I can
I've
watch
learned to
games
do a lot
live on our
with
replay system.
technology.
Get 4 angles or 6
I've actually got
angles.
2 TVs that
there
are
are
hooked
some
up to our
games.
replay system.
On every
So
single
that I
play
can
that
get
happens
involved.
I don't get involved right after the play,
but I can
happens.
watch
I mean,
games live on our replay
It's
system.
not to actually
Get 4
have the
angles
actual
or 6
time
angles
that the officials
as there are
use.
some games.
So I can just hit a button and go to a
on
different
every single play
camera
that
angle. I
happens
can
while it's going,
turn
right
the
after the
toggle
play
and
happens.
fast
So, I mean,
forward.
it's
I can go frame by
it's
frame.
not to actually have the
So,
actual
I mean, my
toggle
guys
that
have
the
no shot
officials
because
use.
I can see everything.
I can just hit a button and go to a different camera angle. I can
You know, that's got to be
turn the
awesome. I mean,
toggle
having that
and fast forward,
technology,
and I can
you know,
go
you're
frame
at
by
home,
frame.
it's remote, but you have the
I mean, my
technology
guys
at your
have no
fingertips.
shot because I
Bring
can
me
see
into that
everything
and what
they're
that's
doing
like for
as
you
they're
and how
doing
cool
it.
that is for you. That's, you have this technology and access to it in this crazy time.
Well, I mean, it's been great. The league has really, stepped up in the way that we evaluate referees nowadays. I actually had DB Sport, who is our replay system at all of our games, come to my office and help me set up 2 of the TVs in their system with a computer. And it's great because I know you always know. I've been in this a long time in the game of basketball and gotten to know many of our coaches very well. And you know when one of them's going to call
and that's got to be awesome. I mean, having that technology, you're
plays in game and email them to myself so that I can be prepared for if a coach does call and he's only got the TV feed, and I can show him an angle from the baseline, which could change his mind or it could change my mind.
right.
As to if I thought it was live, a good call, I can see from another angle that it's not. All of my officials know that they're going to get clips after games. They review them. I send good plays, bad plays. I can make my own training videos sitting here with voiceovers. I mean, it's really helped me into looking deeper into our game. The league, demands it. Our coaches demand it. Our officials have bought into it. They send plays as well. They get the game as soon as the game is over with. So, I mean, it's just been a win-win for everybody. And it's helped some of our veterans teach better, and it's helped some of our less experienced officials learn better. And I think that's the task that we have at us right now, and it's starting to work.
Speaking here with Bryan Kersey this morning, ACC coordinator of officiating for men's basketball. Like you said, if your officials do anything, like, you can see it. You can sniff it out because you have all these angles and all this access. What have you seen? I spoke with Mike Kitts, and obviously Mike overseeing the Horizon and the MAC and a bunch of other things as well. I spoke with him about what is the call that he's been dealing with the most questionable call, the one that comes in all the time. What has it been for you?
I think our plays are now more above the basket. I think a lot of our plays going to the basket with offense-initiated contact, and then once the ball is released at the basket, have created a lot of havoc for our officials because it's no longer it's still a drive and dish type game, but now these guards are so strong that they take it straight to the rim, or they either shoot it or they, as everybody has seen, they're starting to float it up to a big that's up there, and then they get contested. So I think the plays going to the basket, our guys have to differentiate between offense-initiated contact and illegal contact. I think that was a challenge early that I think that they've got
a new thing called
adjusted to.
Reese's
I think coaches are
Pieces.
teaching
Now, some of you
more
saw
to
that on our social media
because
get
their guards
uploaded
are
there.
so
Reese's
strong
Pieces, so you got
now,
to see
and then
it
the
and
teams that can
experience
shoot,
what that
we have to know
exactly.
as well. Somebody is going to drive and then they're going to dish. So then line plays become, I call them line plays dealing with restricted area arcs or 3-point lines or out of bounds lines because we've moved the 3-point line back. I think line plays for some of our teams become the hardest. So you have to know the personnel of the teams, and you have to know what they're going to run. Bigger teams are going to the basket. Smaller guards are going to dribble and dish it out, and then you have to worry about lines. So positioning becomes very, very important.
Yeah, so I mean, we look at this, and you said that like the coach, like if a coach is calling, like what they're going to call about. How good do you feel you've gotten at, if the phone rings and it's Chris Mack, it's this. If it's Jim Boeheim, it's this. If it's Coach K, it's that. If it's Roy Williams, it's that. Like, how good do you feel like you've gotten at that?
Well, I say this all the time. The great thing about our league is it's never scripted. And everything that happens in one game may not happen in another. Syracuse is going to play different against Duke than they will against Florida State. So I think their game plan is usually close to the same, but I think the way that they go about it changes, and we have to adjust to that. So I never know what a coach is going to call about until that game is dictated by those teams. So, I mean, it's become – every call is different. Some coaches will just send a text with plays they want me to look at, and then we'll discuss. Some will actually send clips. They'll all, we'll all talk at some point, about the plays that they want to discuss. So, I mean, it's just become where they know everything that I have here, and they know that we can get on the phone and I can let them vent if they need to vent. And by the time the conversation ends, it's usually good. Sometimes, I admit when our guys miss plays, 100%, I will tell them, our guys missed this play. And they know that. So I think the trust factor has risen. I think, all coaches are not going to agree with every play. But the good thing about the coaches in the ACC is they don't only call when they lose. They will call when they win, and they will discuss plays when they win as well as when they lose. So, I mean, that helps, create some type of trust and respect on each side.
That coming here from the ACC coordinator of men's basketball officiating, Bryan Kersey, this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. I read off these names: Coach K, Leonard Hamilton, who's had longevity, Jim Larinaga, Roy Williams, Mike Bray, Jim Boeheim, Tony Bennett. I mean, these are guys inside of the ACC that have spent a lot of time. I mean, people forget how long Leonard Hamilton has been at Florida State. I mean, Coach K obviously been there for a very, very, very long time. Wasn't the only place he's been, but he has been synonymous with Duke. We know that Jim has been nowhere but Syracuse for 45 years as a coach and a player before that. Tony Bennett being inside of the ACC with Virginia for over a decade. Roy Williams being here since 2003. When you hear these names and you deal with these coaches, what are your thoughts on that? The fact that this is the conference that you oversee.
I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, we have unbelievable coaches. I mean, we have guys that see through many lenses. Each game it changes the lens they have to look through. They know our officials. I think they trust me. I think that because I had all of them on the floor. When I was refereeing, so all the coaches that we have, you think about how long Brad Brownell's been at Clemson now.
Yeah.
And these guys have grown. They love the league, the competitive edge that all of these coaches have, whether or not they're age-wise younger or they've been coaching for 40 years. The competitive nature of this is incredible. The great thing about that is our officials are extremely competitive, and we expect perfection. We know we're not going to get it. But we can strive to that point. But our coaches have been phenomenal through this whole thing. They understand everything that's going on. There's no way possible, and I've said to all of them, there's no way possible I could be on their side, where they have 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They have to worry through this pandemic. But, I said it all along. It's the greatest league to be associated with, from the coaches to the players to the administration of the schools to Paul Brazo to new commissioner Jim Phillips and past commissioner John Swafford. I mean, it's just been phenomenal to work in this league. And, this 30-plus years I've been associated with it, and there's nowhere else that has the class or the integrity or the people that we have that help do this together. Everybody has their own job to do. The coaches do theirs. They understand I have to do mine with my officials. We come together, we talk, and everything works out great.
That coming here from Bryan Kersey this morning on the ACC as the coordinator of officiating for men's basketball. You brought up the commissioner that's been with the ACC forever and a day, as well as the new commissioner. What can you say about John Swafford, to go a little bit deeper into him? I've had the opportunity to sit down with him numerous times face-to-face. We've been on the phone together. We have definitely, over the last almost decade, spent some really good quality time, and I appreciate the time I've had with him. So what can you say about John Swafford and what he's meant to the conference, as well as how you feel about him as an individual and not just a commissioner?
Oh, he's been phenomenal. I was in the league for a couple years, and then with Gene Corrigan, and then John Swafford, was named commissioner. I have sat in his office in good times, and I have sat in his office in bad times. Yeah. I can tell you that. But he was always fair to me. He was great to me. Unbelievable human being, unbelievable family. Treated me with nothing but respect. Let me do my job, which I think is probably one of the greatest assets that he has. Is he hires people to do a job and he expects them to do it. He doesn't try to get involved. If you need him, you can call him. Anything I ever asked for, he said yes. All of this equipment, all of the training that we do, was all brought through the league first. But as a person, he took the league to as a commissioner, he took the league to incredible heights. All the way up to seeing the network begin. But as a human being, he was just phenomenal. I mean, his family grew tremendously while I was, while he was commissioner, while I was involved with the league, and I played golf with him. I hung out with him. I mean, he was just, and he's the same all the time, just mild-mannered, very quiet, but very much the leader of our league to get us where we are.
And were you surprised? I mean, it seemed like John Swafford, I mean, he became synonymous with the ACC, so it seemed like he was going to be there forever, and I'll never, I mean, to me, what I think about when I think about John Swafford the most is that he kind of looks and sounds like George W. Bush. And whenever I would sit with him and we would finish up, I would say, I appreciate it, John, and he would say, good to be with you. And it was always that good to be with you. And, and he was always so comfortable. And what I really loved and I respected is when I talk to someone and, they're on the show and whatever, that they say my name back, and he would say that. He would say, you know what, Dan? And it was the way, it was like compassionate, it was kind. We talked about real stuff. Like, we didn't, there was no sugarcoating, commissioner tell you all about the, the puppies and the rainbows. Like, he talked to me about real stuff. We talked about autonomy. We talked about, different things that had gone on with Syracuse, losing games, he said flat out, or losing, Jim Boeheim losing wins. He said, I've never been a fan of, the NCAA taking away history. And so, we talked about so many different things, but always good to be with you. And I want to get on the phone with him today just to catch up.
Yeah, he was, some people say that last word is something somebody always wants to get in. And it was always that way with him, but it was always a positive last word.
Yeah.
And that's what I'll always remember. Every time you left him, you left on a positive note. Even when I was in trouble,
Yeah.
when I was on the floor during my career, we always left it on a positive note. And I think that says a lot about a person. He wants to get the last word in, but it's something that's going to make you feel okay when you leave.
And for you, why did you get in trouble? What do you remember about being in John Swafford's office and getting in trouble? Let me be a fly on the wall for that.
Sometimes officials do things that are not good for our league and our game, which is my learning experiences from being on the floor has increased and that's what I'll always want. The need for optics to be positive all of the time now. I guess is probably the best way to put it.
How many times did you get in trouble?
Not many.
Okay.
Not many.
Okay.
27 years, it wasn't very. 27 years is a long time. And I only spent a couple in there. So, it was good. All was good.
Speaking here with Bryan Kersey, the coordinator of men's basketball officiating with the ACC. Bryan, coaching-wise, which coach, at least this year, or maybe overall, who calls you the most to try and figure out a call? Who do you field calls from the most?
I would never individualize any coaches that we have. I will tell you this. We have a lot of teams in our alliance that we have created.
Yeah.
And in this league, in the ACC, I get far less calls than in any other league that I have. But you also have to understand, I get some calls from coaches asking what certain referees on our staff do for a living. We have coaches that want to know what they do for a living, what their family life is, what their past is.
Yeah.
We have some that just send plays that they know that their player did something wrong, but they want to know, what their player can do differently so that he does it right. So, trust me, I have no calls where myself and a coach in our league will be upset with each other at all. It may start out as a vent session about a certain play that both the coach and I know was wrong.
Yeah. And
they just don't understand why they got it wrong. But I would say that our coaches call less than any other league that I have. And again, it's one of those conversations with all of them where we get off feeling better than when we start.
If Jim Boeheim is one of the people that calls you the most, don't say anything for 5 seconds.
I wouldn't say that at all. I would never. I'm telling you.
I know. I'm just messing with you.
I send, these guys send me plays. They have unbelievable. The video coordinators for our schools must be phenomenal because they clip plays. Some leagues you get, some coaches will send you 10 plays and the entire length of the video clips is 12 seconds. I can't really see, a play in 1.1 seconds. I can't really tell what happened on the play, but these video coordinators that we have, they know the technology I have, but when they clip plays, they're phenomenal. So, but seriously, our coaches I mean, I could say this over and over, and it could change here in 5 minutes if the phone will ring. But our coaches, it's a incredible integrity class league of coaches and I don't have to. I've known them all forever, and they know I don't have to blow smoke. But I mean, it's just a different conversation that we have when we have conversations.
And I mean, when you go from being an official to being the coordinator of officiating, was that a tough transition for you? Did they feel like, did some coaches feel like maybe they had a relationship with you in a certain way with you on the court, and now that you were overseeing everything, like, was there anything adversity-wise of going from the floor to the front office, so to speak?
Well, I had to realize that officials do make mistakes because when you are a referee, you think you and your crew get every play right. So now when you look at it through my lens that I have now, you have to look at it totally differently because I can't tell a coach, "Oh no, we were right," knowing that we were wrong. So that aspect, the coaches had a trust factor, which helped. They tested me pretty much to see if I was always going to stick up for the referees, because the answers that you give them during a game, you're never going to say 3 or 4 times in a game, "Yes, I was wrong." Where now I can tell them, we had these 2 plays that we were wrong on that you're upset about or that you're complaining about. So that transition was a lot different coming in, because once you get this technology, you have to use it to the best of its ability.
Yeah.
And so to do that, you have to admit faults. And our officials have to learn to admit faults. And I think we've brought that to this table. And I think that's changed a lot. It's made us better. It's developed some less experienced officials to a different level, which was our goal going into this, because everybody knows, everybody that's watched games on TV this year will notice there's some less experienced guys that they haven't seen in the past working.
Yeah.
That was saying what has happened throughout the tournament in the last couple of years. And without all of this training, without all of our communications, not only with the coaches, but the coaches, me, and the officials, we would have never gotten to the point where we are, which is why we have so many of our officials that referee the NCAA tournament every year and the Final Four every year. And I think that's helped us throughout the year to be prepared for everything that's to come.
Bryan, dealing with coronavirus, for the past year as a country, and dealing with it in college basketball, bring me into being, the ACC coordinator of officiating for men's basketball when the tournament goes on halt. Bring me into that moment and dealing with that, which was unheard of, and then dealing with what's still going on today with schedule changes. So what was it like to be the coordinator of officiating when the middle of the tournament stops and we've barely gotten into it? And then, secondly, people see this on a team-by-team basis, on their team's basis. Syracuse had to change X amount of games, Florida State X amount of games, but how many schedule changes have you had? So ACC tournament last year, and then what's the number on schedule changes?
It was like the world ended last year, when we stopped it. That was, like my 27th tournament, 26th tournament, or whatever it was that I've been involved with. And all of a sudden, we just come to a screeching halt, 30 minutes before we're supposed to tip off, that the next day. So to tell my guys, hey, the tournament's done. I mean, it was a huge, huge lull, not only in the arena, which was empty pretty much, but to tell players that it's over with, to hear Commissioner Swafford give the speech that he gave at that moment, to see the faces of kids like Florida State and Clemson who were out there on the floor warming up, to experience that was really a down moment for me, and I think for college basketball as a whole. I know for the league, because, as it's attended so well by our fans. These fans deserve deserved to have that tournament go on, but there was no way that we could. I mean, it was just no way that we could. So that was a huge difference. And then, when you're sitting there last year, you're thinking, well, this thing's going to last a couple of months, and we're going to be okay. And then all the summer camps get canceled. NCAA, officiating training school gets canceled in the summertime. So now we get through the summer, and you're figuring, well, football's going to start and everything's going to get going. It got going to somewhat. We still had no fans in the stands for football. We started basketball. Our guys, started out taking, 3 tests a week. TC Gammons in the ACC office did a phenomenal job and has done. He'll get us through, these next 2 weeks. Did a phenomenal job of organizing and orchestrating the testing system. The Mako, the people that we used, did a phenomenal job of getting us info. Our guys, the referees took tests on the road, FedExed them in, got them in now. As we got into the middle of January, we started testing 4 days a week just to make sure everything got in time, so we didn't have any issues because of teams going down. We had a few referees go down. We had guys at arenas or heading to arenas when games were canceled. So, it's just been a very trying time. We've had, the great thing is, though, we've probably played 85%, close to 85% of our games.
Yeah.
Which I think is should be applauded by our schools and everybody, and our officials for keeping their testing going. You haven't seen many come off. Some of them are wearing masks. Some of them are not. You always see them wearing a mask when they go to the table or if they're talking to a coach. So everybody's taking care of their own protocols to get us to this point. And I think it's just allowed, all of college basketball, and now you see places with fans coming back, and different states have different requirements, so they're putting more people in the stands. We're going to have, it's my understanding, we're going to have some fans next week. So I'm hoping that we're coming out of it. The vaccine's out there now, and people are pretty serious about getting this. We just had, of course, we had another one come out. I think it was yesterday.
Yeah.
So, people are seeing the urgency of getting everything herded, in a herd mode so that we can move forward. And, it's taken a collaborative effort on a lot of different people, but it's also taken a collaborative effort of the players and the officials and coaches and everybody buying into this is how what we have to do to get, this stuff taken care of.
Yeah, and it is. It's been a strange, long year, challenging year to try and figure out what we can do. And now here we are. How surreal is it to you, Bryan, that we're in a place where last year, as you just spoke about, we were at the tournament, it was Tuesday, Wednesday, go off, Thursday, everything stops. So the fact that we're heading back into the tournament, we're going back to almost a year to date of when everything stopped. How surreal is that to you, and are you kind of holding your breath going into next week?
It's extremely surreal because the last game I attended was last year at the tournament. I'm not worried going into next week because I think we've learned so much over the last 4 months. 5 months as we've played through this season. I think our protocols have strengthened. I'm not concerned. I feel safe. I know that, we're going to be in one certain spot. I know that the teams are going to be in one certain spot. I know that we're testing every single day. So the concern level is down, in my opinion, for everybody because of everything that's been accomplished in the last 4 months of the season. So, I'm ready to get it going. I'm excited to get it going. I'm honestly excited to see all of my guys face to face instead of on a Zoom call.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see the ACC staff, office staff. face to face instead of on a Zoom call. So I mean, I think it's going to be a great week. It's going to be an incredible tournament, as it always is, and I think we've learned enough, more than enough, to get us through.
Speaking here with Bryan Kersey, the ACC coordinator of men's basketball, officiating. You haven't been to a game since the last ACC tournament, like you just stated. Bring me into that. I mean, you got your 6 TVs at home. You're doing your thing. You can toggle through everything. You got the technology. But what has life been like for you personally, knowing that the last time was such a long time? I mean, a year ago. I mean, the fact that, you got to be excited, I would imagine, almost like, maybe even like a little kid to be, running back to that stadium, the Greensboro Coliseum and whatnot. But, what has the last year been like? The fact that you have not been on site, you have not been on location, you haven't physically been able to be at a single game this season.
Well, I think it's been harder on my wife.
Yeah, you said that.
She was 30 years of me traveling, and now she wakes up and I'm the first smiling face she sees. For me, it's been totally different. I mean, it's seeing things through a TV screen is completely different than seeing things in person. Our big thing and with my officials is interaction with each other, and they haven't even been able to do that. So I think us coming together is going to help our entire staff as a whole. They take 3 rental cars to the game. They stay in.
Last year been like the fact that you have not been on site, you have not been on location, you haven't
either around each other or that. It's just not the same. So I think us coming together is going to help our entire staff as a whole. They take 3 rental cars to the games, and I want them to be able to interact together. Of course, in different hotel rooms. Sitting here watching games all the time. They go eat, but they're sitting either completely. It's very, very conclusive, with the technology that the league has given me, where I can get a definite answer and definite responses. But it's nothing beats sitting in an arena, whether there's people in it or not. And I missed that tremendously.
What has your relationship with your wife at this point? What do you need to do to smooth things over? The 6 TVs, the toggling, the matrix, you've become Lawrence Fishburne, essentially. So how have you tried to navigate this with your beautiful, wonderful significant other? What have you done to maybe sweeten the pot a little bit? Tell me about what this last year's. I've been single for the majority of this time, so I can tell you that my dog and I are fine. She lets me watch whatever I want to watch.
I can tell you that.
What'd you say?
Me and my dog are real close. My wife calls me her house husband now. So I've learned. I did get smart though. Instead of me cleaning, I did hire somebody to clean, so I wouldn't have to do all that as well. But it's been. We've done great. My daughter got married in August. My son's been married for 6 years. My daughter was supposed to actually get married in April. We had to back it up. She got married in August, so she left. So the entire basketball season has just been my wife and I at the house. But it's been good. She stayed at school a lot longer this year than she has in the past, I think. But it's just different. I've learned how to pack lunches. I've learned how to wash dishes. I've learned how to load the dishwasher. I've learned how to wash sheets and stuff like that. So it's just been different. But like I said, think about it. If everybody sits down and thinks about everything that's going to come out of this, even though it's been hard. It's been a rough year. Everything that's going to come out of this is going to be positive for our economy and positive for the workplace and stuff like that. So, I just think we got a shot in the face, and I think we're waking up and coming out of it, and I look forward to what happens next.
Well, and I think you bring up a good point, Brian, is the fact that, we're in a place right now where we have the opportunity in this past year to learn something. We have the opportunity to be better people, to be more compassionate, it amazes me how people still waste other people's time
Correct.
after this past year. Like I'm the type of person where if you waste my time, you don't get a second chance to waste it. So, like I look back on this year and I think to myself, like, how could anybody waste anybody else's time after everything that we have seen? How could you be mean to someone? How could you, when you're both trying to go through the front door, that you don't take a step back and say, you go first? I mean, I've always tried to be chivalrous. I've always tried to, be compassionate and kind to anybody and everybody, to be the bigger person when I need to be. And, this year taught me a lot. It made me the best version of myself. It made me stronger. And I genuinely hope that people can love more, get mad less, be more compassionate, be more hospitable, be more open, be more kind. I mean, I can't imagine coming out of this year being a human being that just doesn't care. Because, I mean, was this year not God hitting a reset button saying, I need you all to sit here and listen, and if you're not going to listen, then I'm going to sit here as long as it... I mean, essentially, like you said, your wife being ahead of schools, I felt like God was kind of put everybody in timeout and said,
Agree.
What are we going to learn
100%.
from this?
Agree. And I think one thing that this has really taught us, in my opinion, is how to say thank you. I think that was missing. And I think, these... I don't care what anybody says. Can you even imagine being a doctor or a nurse or a EMT I couldn't even imagine being one of those frontline people during this thing going on and having a family to go home to. I have a family lives down the street from me. It's a husband and a wife, and she is a surgical nurse, and she comes home. She comes home every night and puts her scrubs in a trash can in the garage so they can wash them so she can go in the house and see her husband. Showers right there by that door. I couldn't imagine. I would love to say thank you to every one of them for everything that they've done, but I just, our world needed a shot. It really did. We were at a point where we needed something. The year started off bad and just continued to get worse. And then we got this shot here.
Yeah.
And now like I said, I'm anxious to see where we end up next, because I think good is going to come out of this.
Well, glass half full is where I reside too, and I appreciate and respect that. Bryan Kersey, the ACC coordinator of men's basketball officiating, here with us this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Brian, a couple of things before I let you go here. Speaking on the new commissioner of the ACC, would love to go a little bit deeper into that. We spoke on John Swafford and everything that he's meant to the conference over the years, and now with a new face on the conference, and that being Jim Phillips, just what you could say about him, what you know of him, and what you think.
I've never met him face to face. That I can remember. I have talked to him. We have emailed. We have had full office Zoom calls together. We've had a few of those. We're going to have them every single month, or meetings.
Yeah.
He has come across as a very, very, again, positive person who has nothing but respect and admiration for what John Swafford has done, and he wants to continue it. He's been nothing but upbeat, which I think is great. And I look forward to meeting him face to face next week. Look forward to him, adding to where we are right now, on the men's basketball officiating side, and seeing what ideas he has.
Yeah.
And everything I've heard has been great. Every single thing I've heard about him has been great. I'm anxious to see if I can find a flaw. I'm just kidding, but I mean, I'm anxious to, like I said, I'm anxious to sit down with him. We'll have a one-on-one. Him and I will sit down and talk, and you know, he has said it. He said on these Zooms, you all have jobs to do. I'm going to let you do them, and I think that's all you can ask. Yeah. I look forward to where he takes us. You know, I look at his background. I look forward to where he takes where John Swafford has gotten us to right now, and I'm sure there's some things that we can do to expand it. And you know, I'm anxious to see 5 years from now where this league is.
Yeah, you know, and I am as well. You know, I'm definitely looking forward to getting to know him, to you know, being able to converse with him and having that open door like I had with John, and hopefully continue to have that door with John, because, you know, I appreciate him. And now that he's not like the commissioner anymore, now all those candid conversations can get more candid. So like that.
I hear you.
You know?
I hear you. Let it fly. Let it fly.
Yeah, that's how I feel. You know, let it fly. So the two last pieces here. You brought up the Alliance. Some people don't know about it. You're obviously the coordinator of men's basketball officiating for the ACC, but speak on the Alliance and what that is and why that's important.
Alliance has been great. I mean, you know, we have the Big East, we have the Atlantic 10, we have the Colonial, the Big South, the Patriot, the Ivy, the Northeast, the MEAC. And the thing that it has allowed us to be able to do is to lean on other people. John Cal, who oversees the Big East side of it, him and I talk multiple times every single day, and it's a way to vent. You know, I talk to Larry Rose all the time, who was a long-time referee in the ACC. He's in charge of the MEAC. Gary Prager, who was a long-time Big East referee, is head of the Patriot and the Ivy. Jack Sweeney, who was a long-time NCAA referee, is head of the Northeast Conference. And we can collaborate on everything. We do all of our training together. You know, through these times this year, it's been very important to have each other. Without those guys, number one, we wouldn't be able to train less experienced officials. It's given guys opportunities to be leaders. You know, somebody that may be a U2 in the ACC or Big East may be we may put in a crew chief position in the Colonial or the Patriot, the Ivy, or the Patriot or the Northeast or the MEAC conference this year. The Big South is a great addition that we got, you know, a few years ago. So, I mean, it's giving guys opportunities. It's made our, you know, my staff in the ACC better. You know, we bring people in that we trust. A trust factor is huge because all of our teaching techniques have become one. So all of our guys know what it takes to get to a certain level, and we don't want anybody to think that they don't have that opportunity, and I think that's helped us a great deal.
Yeah, you know, and I think it's great to have that connection and have multiple minds to figure things out together and work on things together and to make the world a little bit smaller, which is really cool. And last thing for you, Bryan, is I want to flip the script. Officials, if everybody got to flip the script and got to interview somebody, coaches don't get to do it, players don't get to do it, but we know that officials get talked about, but they never get to take the microphone. So I'm going to give it to you. 3 questions, anything that you want. You and I have gotten to know each other over the years. We got to, you know, have some face-to-face time and whatnot. So I'm going to throw this to you. You can ask me any 3 questions in the world. It doesn't have to do with basketball or sports. It can. Totally up to you. But I want to give a coordinator of officiating the right to take the microphone because I may be the only person that does this in your life. So I'm gonna give you this and let you have 3 questions. You can ask me anything. What are they?
You know, the first thing that I like to, you know, I do a lot of speaking things to people, and I do some of this at those. And people say our game is our referees don't care about the games or anything like this. So the first question I always ask at these things when I start to talk is, by the end of our conversation, the one question I want you to be able to answer is, I want you to define legal guarding position for me that referees have to abide to throughout the year. So can you define legal guarding position?
Can I define legal guarding position? My goodness. So I would say that I want to sit with you in some type of a clinic and go over everything again. But legal guarding position, man, I mean, I played the game and I know the game has changed, but essentially you have to face your opponent, have both feet on the floor. I mean,
there you go. You did it.
What? I did
it?
it? Okay.
You get 2 feet on the floor facing your opponent, which is tremendous that you know that. You're a student of the game.
Yeah, well,
the second question I would like to ask is, do you feel that referees leave that game and just move on to the next one?
I would like to believe that. There's been times, and I'm not saying this because I grew up in Syracuse, there's been times where I've been in the Dome, and it's funny how they say you get home calls. And whether Syracuse is in the Big East or the ACC didn't matter. Syracuse didn't get home calls like ever. And I felt like if anything it went the other way. And there were times where I'm watching this game, and like I said, I played this game. I grew up, I played organized basketball at 7, I got recruited D3, I played all throughout, my childhood and loved the game. I've commentated the game, so I've watched it from the sidelines, and I could coach this game. I genuinely love the nuances of the game. And I felt like there were times sitting in the Dome where I was just like, wow, they talk about home calls going for certain teams out there. And I just feel like Syracuse doesn't get those. And there were times where I got really frustrated growing up thinking like, does this official let it go? So I would like to think that officials coach game by game. I would like to, not coach. I would like to think that they focus game by game. I would like to think that they let it go. But we're human beings, and if you deal with a coach that screams at you all the time or mumbles under their breath, or that they totally disrespect you, or maybe they said something about your wife 3 games ago or 3 years ago. I think the human nature states that some people may have a hard time treating it individually, but I would like to hope that officials have probably some of the thickest skin on the planet and that they can move on to the next game. But, we're all human, so I'm sure that there's been moments where that's not the case.
Yeah, and that's a valid point. I think that my guys sometimes call me Oz, and because I sit here and watch every single game.
Yeah.
So I think that technology, and as we've moved from when I started officiating to where I am now, if you think of all the things that we've been through, we went through having nothing on video, a game a night on TV, to where now all of our games are on, to then we had VHS tapes, that we would tape our game on TV and then go back and watch it, and then we went to DVDs, and now, we're at the point now where everything, when you referee a game that has 6 to 12 cameras, you can't hide anymore, which I think is great, and I think it's taken those thoughts of officials leaving a game and not caring what happened in that game, because trust me, they're going to deal with it the next day as well, and they know it. So I think that has changed a lot. Yeah. And the last question I would always ask is twofold. One, do you think our game is too rough? And 2, do you think our coach-official communication level appears, optic-wise, because I'm very, very big on optics.
Yeah.
Do you think those two things, optic-wise, roughness of the game and communication-wise, has gotten better or gotten worse in the last 5 years?
I would tell you the first part of your question. I would say to you that the game isn't rough enough. I miss the old Big East. I miss what I grew up on. Like, I miss the Syracuse, UConn, Syracuse, Georgetown, Syracuse, Pittsburgh, even in the Big East, the punch-down, drag-out games. I mean, Otis Hill called Syracuse, Georgetown a football game. And so, I mean, I don't want people elbowing each other and, maiming each other, but I think the game needs to be more physical. I think, there's been plays. I mean, there was a play last night with Jesse Edwards going after the ball against North Carolina, and he got called for a foul, and it was early in the game, and he just, and I'm sure I got to go back, and you got 19 angles of it, but, like the way he went after the ball, it was just a play. I mean, he was literally reaching for the ball. He's a big dude, and I know that there was contact because there's inevitable contact when two players are going after the same ball, but I really didn't think it was a foul. I thought it was fair, and I think that, when you try to block a shot now, or, there's certain things you try to do, especially under the basket, and there was flops in the game last night. I mean, there were guys that put themselves on their butt, not even getting touched. They just shot the ball and then just kind of laid down on the ground, and I'm very against flopping. So I think for me, I'd like to see the game be more physical. I think it's moved into quicker to call the whistle, than it is to not. And I liked when they used to get to play. And I don't put that on officials as much as I put it on kind of like the NCAA's transition of the game. I think they want to see more points. And, if I saw a punch down, drag out 60 to 50, 71 to 62, like, I'm okay with that. But I miss the physicality of the game that I saw as a kid. And then secondly, do I think that the coach-official relationship has gotten better or worse over the last 5 years? I can tell you that from my optics of being, in the Dome, especially with these ACC games, I feel that, there's an understanding. I mean, there's times where Jim Boeheim will yell, and you can hear everything in the Dome now because there's no fans. So, I mean, I've heard officials, I've heard an official walk up to, a Syracuse player and say, knock it off. I told you, 20 seconds ago, stop, and you need to stop. And then, you hear the moments of Jim yelling and saying, like, did you see that on the baseline? But then there's the aftermath of the reaction. And I think that, at least from my point of view, the ACC coaches that I can speak on from seeing, I think that whether they disagree or agree, there's this relationship with the officiating where I feel like there's a level of respect. And I feel like they talk it out. And I feel like it's gotten better, and I feel like it's almost a peer, almost an even level, where if Jim disagrees with something, he does it in such a way where he's not getting a technical, the official's hearing him, they're probably working on it. I think Roy Williams did that. I just get the vibe that, at least I can speak on, the coaches in the ACC that I very heavily cover. I can tell you that from my point of view, if they agree or disagree with the call, it seems like they do it without putting themselves in a place where it's a level of disrespect or a level of I'm better than you. So, I mean, I think that you can speak on it better than I can, but I think the coach-official relationship, from my optics, has gotten better in what I've seen, and I think that at a time where the official can hear everything, I think I haven't really seen too many issues. So to me, I think the coaches are doing better.
I would agree, and I think that us as officials going and talking to these guys helps a lot, and I think that's what has come through, especially in the last 2 or 3 years, where officials will now, discuss plays with coaches, and coaches will listen. I think listening is an aspect that officials have come to realize has to be part of their game. And I think admitting wrongs has also come. So I think that the officials and the coaches have the respect level is huge right now. As to the roughness of the game, if you sit back and think 5-10 years ago, the bigs would go after, to block a shot, would come right at you to block a shot. Think about now how many of our bigs have adjusted to following to the basket and blocking from behind. Think how many block shots we have from behind. You talked about the Edwards kid. Think about how his game is right now as opposed to when he first started playing and how he blocked shots. And somebody like Jay Huff at Virginia, who makes a living on blocking shots from behind. So I think that has changed so that they do not pick up those fouls of, we call it A to B jumps, bigs jumping A to B and causing contact with an airborne shooter. Think about how that has changed the game 5-10 years ago, the way they block shots. Bigs so I think blocking spacing of teams. So I think that has changed the spacing that our teams have now. The offensive that they have put in, to space out the floor. And think of the shooters that we have now. It's amazing how many teams have jump shooters. You have 2 right there. You actually have 4 right up there at Syracuse that can shoot it from anywhere on the floor at any given time and have the confidence that they're going to make it. So I think that's, those adjustments have been made, and it's been great for our game. And I think we're only going to get better, at this. And adjustments are made on the officiating side. Adjustments are made on player and coach's side. And I think that's helped us tremendously.
That coming here from Bryan Kersey this morning, ACC coordinator of men's basketball, officiating exactly a week before we tip off the ACC tournament, and Bryan gets to finally go back to a game live. So with that being said, Bryan, my best to your wife, and the fact that she gets to kick you out of the house for a little bit.
She cannot wait for next week, I don't think.
So, bring the dog with you, brother. Bring the dog with you.
That's right.
So
no doubt.
That coming from Bryan Kersey. Congratulations to your daughter on getting married. Congrats to, the whole family, and hope all is well with your son and with everybody, and with your beautiful bride. I hope she's doing well. But, my best to everybody. Please stay safe and stay healthy. And I look forward to talking with you and hopefully seeing you soon.
Oh, thank you very much for your time.
All right. Take care, Bryan.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
You too. That coming once again from Bryan Kersey here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. A pleasure to have on the show, and thank him so much for being a part of the broadcast. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll come back with Joe Forgione right after this. My co-host of MU Courtside, and somebody who I greatly appreciate and respect. He'll be joining us in just a moment here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand butter chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have at any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. I hope you're having yourselves a tremendous morning this morning, enjoying life and making the most of it. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is happy to be here for you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, on wakeupcalldt.com, as well as on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, and on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT. All of it inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, and Cafe Kubal with 5 locations in our community. Head out and support local today and get your cup of coffee, your cup of chai. The chai is what I get. So you can go out there and get your chai, get your coffee. Joe's fumbling right now with his cereal right now, getting ready to get on the line. So make sure you get your Cafe Kubal at 208 North Townsend Street, 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse, and also out in Manlius at the behemoth of a building they have at the pinnacle of Manlius on 343 Fayette Street. So with all that being said, the second guest we have on today's show is the one who's been eating his cereal rapidly, just like a blind squirrel, here on the broadcast, so that's Joe Forgione. Joe, how are we doing today?
Hey, what's going on, Dan? Great to be here.
I love it. I love how you go from the cereal eating to, hey, Dan, how you doing? So I appreciate it, Joe. I do.
Yeah, I had about a baker's dozen of Cheerios, so I'm pretty full to the max.
What type of Cheerios did you have?
Just plain. I can only have plain for the heart.
Only plain, not Honey Nut?
No, the worst possible kind. It's like cardboard, just cut into little circles. That's what I'm allowed.
That's nice. Why? What's going on with your heart, Joe? You all right?
Yeah, it's fine. It's just I just want it to be around a little bit longer, you know?
Yeah, well, I had chocolate for breakfast, so I should probably work on that.
Is it dark chocolate?
I'm not sure. It was just chocolate, Joe. I was hungry. I grabbed something, you know? So, I mean...
This is gonna lead you to eating just plain Cheerios. Just like that.
Yeah, I did that when I was on my vacation. I was like, you know what I had this morning? A Twix, king size. So... That was my breakfast, Joe. Sometimes, you know, sometimes you...
What does the Twix say? What is it, left and right or something like that?
Yeah, it doesn't make any logical sense. I mean, it's I mean, it's probably one of the dumbest things that anybody's ever come up with, yet it worked for people, which is hilarious. You know, all the Twix people got in a room and they said, hey, we got to reinvent the Twix. We got to make sure people are buying this thing. What do you want to do? I got a great idea. All right, Johnny, go ahead. Yeah, let's call one of them right, and then let's call one of them left. Are we going to change the bags? No. We're going to put left on one of them. We're going to put right on the other. And people that like right stuff, they're going to buy it. And then the people that are left-handed or whatever, they're going to buy those. Or we'll get a mixture of both. And then we might get people to think that the left one tastes different than the right one, which means we'll sell two.
Now, do they sell two in the bag and then the left one is left and then the right one in the same bag, or is it separate bags?
No, it's separate bags.
That doesn't make any sense.
I mean, who in their right mind? Johnny, yeah, left and right, great, book it. All right, let's spend $2 billion on that. You know, I mean, and the fact that you had to take all the wrappers that you had and you go, nah, scratch those. You got to throw those out. Can't have any of those wrappers. We got to have a left wrapper. We got to have a right one. Well, what are we doing? Can you just stick a label on it? No, we got to make totally new labels. Kill a bunch of trees. It'll be fine. So.
Well, if they did it to Kit Kat, they're gonna need a compass.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you think about that, and then I guess I don't get it. But Kit Kat had a thing a few years back where you could like win money and tickets or something. So if you open up the wrapper, you could get it. So I bought like 100 Kit Kats trying to get this wrapper. You know, I didn't buy 100. I bought like 47. But like, I mean, I tried to win something. You don't win anything with the Twix. You know,
No.
what you do is you win bland Cheerios. That's what you get.
Yep, winner, Cheerio dinner.
So does the wife have to eat bland Cheerios or just you?
No, just me. She had two babies, so she's we're letting her go right now. She ate a whole cheese pie herself.
I love that.
Well, I had to watch her while I was eating my Cheerios.
When did that happen?
No. I'm just doing that. She takes very good care of herself. So she does the same with the Cheerios, but it's not because it's forced on her. I don't by choice eat these Cheerios.
Who would by choice eat bland Cheerios with nothing on them? I don't know who would decide to do such a thing to themselves, Joseph.
Well, what I like, you were saying about the Kit Kats, I didn't realize this, but did you know that they came out with I think it's an apple pie one?
There's an apple. I know there's a mint one.
I'm pretty sure there's an apple pie one.
I will tell you, there is pumpkin pie Kit Kats.
Really? How are those?
Those are actually very, very good. Those are kind of game changing.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think I saw it. I won't be able to try them anytime soon, but you know.
Everybody listening to the show right now is like, oh, I wonder what Joe and Dan got back together to talk about. Pumpkin pie Kit Kats. All right, cool. That's par for the course. I swear to you that if you go back a decade, 15 years ago, they were talking about candy bars at MU courtside, so it's fine.
Probably were.
I hope I go back in time, and I hope that I said to you during a game that we're playing like Gwyn and Mercy, I hope I said, you know what, Joe? This what I just saw in the court's about as dumb as a left and a right Twix. I hope I said it so that I can get my royalty money. But like, I mean, I can't. But you know what? You and I have both been in the business of we're in the business of entertainment and selling things and understanding products and whatever. So what is the craziest thing? Like, what's the craziest commercial or like branding that you ever seen? Because you and I dealt with it in college. We learned about it. So what to you sticks out is like the most ridiculous branding?
As in most like ridiculous for being successful, or as ridiculous as just like I'm not sure how they came up with something like this?
I would love to open the door to whatever you feel like.
Well, you could go with for me the whatchamacallit is the best that I've heard of, I guess, but more successful route.
Yeah.
Just because when people say whatchamacallit, but I feel like that's definitely geared towards like the older generation. I got to tell you, the most recent absurd things that I've seen, and having kids, you pay more closely attention to stuff like this. But honestly, some of the kids' toys that they come up with, the branding for that, I don't understand how it works. But then again, these kids just stare at the TV, so I don't think there's much into it. I think they just put stuff on TV and they'll just watch it. I mean, I've seen videos where they just looks like the parents are just letting the kids basically do anything with this toy outside. And my wife and I look at each other like, yeah, this is not happening in real time.
I will tell you that the toy that I wanted so much as a kid, whose branding was awful, was Gak. It was Nickelodeon Gak. It was like, hey, why don't you get this giant booger, put it in your hand, you get it all over, and if you get it on any type of clothing, it's there forever. Like, it looked like the Blob. It was disgust. It was like, hey, do you think children would like to play with a giant can of mucus? Like, that's all it was. And
do you remember the Crossfire commercial?
Yeah, I do. I do remember that.
Looking back on that now, that was like a medieval time commercial. Like the fire in those kids' eyes as they were playing each other.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I remember, like, I liked things like Battleship and, and different stuff like that. Like, there were things that made sense to me. But, I also can tell you, and this has nothing to do with the branding, but I remember the branding because all the branding was a bunch of kids going, Operation! But the Operation game, there's no way to get anything out of that dude's body without hitting the sides. Or I'm just never going to be like a neurosurgeon, but like, I think I have steady hands. There's no way to get anything out of that guy. And I mean, I like the game Trouble, I got good at that game. There's certain games that I love, but yeah, I mean, I go back and I remember stuff. Gak has got to be the thing where I'm like, why would anybody buy this for their child ever? But then you and I grew up, you talk about like Corona times and all this stuff. You and I grew up with all like the gumball machines where it's like, hey, this gumball's been in here for a day or 7 years. And so like, and it always tasted good though.
Yep. I remember my mom told me that if there wasn't that many gumballs left, I wasn't allowed to get any because that means that they've been in there for longer than 3 years. Well, I don't know whether it's true or not, but that's just what she said.
Yeah, my mom would just send me over to, she's like, you want a gumball? Like, go get it. And more often than, I think there was one time, I'm pretty confident, where I went and got a gumball and I put it in my mouth and it disintegrated into dust in like 5 seconds.
I opened up an old pack of trading cards from like the 90s and I just tried it because I was like, oh wow, the gum stayed really well. I was like, it's like a French fry from McDonald's, and I tried it, and it was like taking like what is that? The Claritin.
Yeah.
It was like taking the Claritin, and I was like, I don't think this was supposed to taste like. Even in the 90s, I don't think they were doing this.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is like, but when you're a kid, it's and you think about the things that are going to go away. Like, is there going to be gumball machines and chiclet machines and any of this stuff anymore? Because with Corona, do you want people to touch it and put the money in there and then put their hand in there and then the candy's not wrapped? They told us during Halloween to never take unwrapped candy, but then my mom would go to the grocery store and go, yeah, you can go have that unwrapped candy. That's fine. You know what I mean? And then who were the families where they told you on Halloween, don't ever take an unwrapped candy bar from anybody? And there was like a family that put razor blades inside of Snickers.
Yeah, I remember.
Like, I would venture to say that family probably, more than likely, should probably have their basement checked for, like, that trap door that leads to that tunnel that leads to that place. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're putting razor blades inside of Snickers, I'm going to venture to say there's probably some other things that we need to talk about.
Yeah, I remember hearing that, and I'm like, that was like the start of thinking that you just really can't, because growing up, you're trusting, and then you learn to not trust, and that was the first time I remember hearing that, and I'm like, who even thinks of that? Like, what? How is that even a thing? But then you realize that there's just some people out there that their intentions are terrible.
Yeah, and it is. It's crazy. I'm speaking here with Joe Forgione, and we're having a good time here this morning. We appreciate you being here inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, listening to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Annoying moment of the week. It's something that I get to do every week. what's something that annoys you, Joe? You and I talked last night. You know that I have a subject that I could stay on for a while. But what is something that annoys you or has annoyed you recently? Anything. What is it?
Wow. I gotta just name one of them?
No, you can name as many as you want.
You know what's starting to really bother me? Is the self-checkouts at these stores.
Yeah.
Because they expect you to work there. And then they get a little upset with you when they have to come over and put their little code in to reset the machine so you can keep scanning. And I remember I was at one of these places where I can self-checkout, and I'm self-checkout, and I don't have any bags because that also is annoying because I don't think to bring bags into a store anymore, and now you have to think about this. And my wife tries to get me on board with it, and she's like, "You have to bring your bags inside." And I'm like, "What? I'll buy the bags. They're 5 cents. We could use the bags here for 30 diapers. Doesn't matter."
Yeah.
But sometimes they're out of bags. But when I was doing the self-checkout, I was trying to buy a track phone. You could put minutes on the track phone. It's something that my grandmother likes.
Yeah.
She uses that, so I get her that. And I was asking the lady that was there to assist us to help me, and she just told me, "Oh, you just scan it and put it in you just scan it and you're paid for it." And I'm thinking, okay, I've done this before. I'm not trying to sound like I should, be wearing that apron and the little name tag, but I'm telling you right now, once I scan this thing, you're going to need to put in some kind of number. So I was like, "Can you just stay here and just help me?" And she's like, "Well, there's a lot of people waiting." And I'm like, "Well, I'm going to be one of those again." So if you can just stay here, I'll scan this stupid little card, and then you just put in your magic numbers, and then we'll be on our way. So she leaves. I'm trying to find this track phone card that I have in my shopping cart, which I also never get. I never walk in with carts. I always walk in and I realize I should have got a cart. I always do that.
See, I always get the cart because someone will. I was always told, I don't know what it is, but I'd be dating somebody and they would always say, "Oh, just get one of those baskets." And I'm like, "No," because the basket ends up weighing 82 pounds by the time I'm done with it, and I'm the one carrying it. And then you hand it to them. They're like, "I'll help you." And you hand it to them for a minute, and they're like, "Why would you make me do this?" And then everybody in the store looks at you like, "Why are you making your girlfriend do child labor?" So then you have to take it back. So I always get the cart just because I don't want to deal with, because I know I'm getting more than one thing. I know I am. So.
Yeah, see, I'm the opposite. I walk in, I know that I'm getting more than one thing, but I also think that I can just strong arm everything and just carry it all. And then I get halfway through shopping, I'm like, I should have got a cart.
Yeah, I literally just I consider just putting the basket down and telling them to have a good day. So just leaving it down, going, "You guys."
That's what happened with this lady. I finally find the track phone card, and she's nowhere to be found. I scan it, and lo and behold, just a little message shows up. Enter your employee ID to verify the amount that you're putting on this card. And I'm like, okay, I hate to say I told you so. I'm not that type of guy, but here we go. So I'm looking around. The check light's not even going on because I think it was broken. So I'm waving my arm. People think I'm waving at them, and I'm just like, "No, I'm behind you because this lady's somewhere over there." Yeah. And she looks at me and she gave me that face like she's annoyed already that she has to come back. And I did one of those arms in the air, I told you this was happening.
Yeah.
I could have told you this was happening when I came into the store.
Yeah.
So she comes over and she goes, "I guess I got to put my code in." And I said, "Well, we're not getting further without you doing it. And I'm definitely not leaving here until somebody puts something in."
Right.
So, and then the lady next to me, she was so nice. She was like, "I heard that whole conversation, and I can't believe she just couldn't wait for you to put the code in." And I was like, "Well, some people have rough days. You don't know what they're going through." So the next day I went and I bought 6 of those cards and made sure she was there. No,
no, but the thing, I would have just memorized her code and then put it in after that. "I don't need you. It's 0205. I got it." I'm like, but but that's the thing about stores now.
Yeah,
that's,
no one wants to do anything.
The people that work at the stores are mad when they have to do their job, and then we're supposed to bring our own bags, pack our own groceries, and scan everything. I used to get paid to be a cashier, and I had to scan people's groceries, and then I had to bag them, and I got paid for that. Now I scan my own groceries, and I bag them myself in a bag that I had to bring or pay for. You know what I did? And I'm not even going to lie about it. I went into a store, I'm not going to say which one it is, and at the end of it all, I had like 8 bags, and I bought all this stuff, and nobody helped me, and I stood there by myself, ringing up my own stuff just like I was working back at the grocery store, and it said at the end of it, how many bags do you have, sir? And I put 0, and I said, have a great day. I was like, I'm not paying for any of these 8 bags that I bought. It doesn't matter to me. I'm bringing these in my car, and you know what? To go off of all of this, it pisses me off, is I realized with like the garbage bins that we have in our bathrooms, you know, you have an Italian background, I do too. You know, what did our moms always do? They took the plastic bags from the grocery store and they made those the bags of the trash in the bathroom.
Yeah, the smaller cans. Yep.
Right, the small cans. So I realized that since, you know, the Grand Emperor of New York State, you know, disbanded the rights to have plastic, that when I go through the checkout and I don't get those anymore, I went to like empty out my trash in my 2 bathrooms, and I went to put it in there, and I go, I don't have any more plastic bags. I used to have 600. Now I have 4. Like, and I'm realizing that I'm like, this person's not only screwing up my grocery time, they're screwing up my ability to clean my house. Like, I'm not gonna buy plastic, and that's the thing. If you plastic bags are bad for the environment, but if you want to buy them, you can. So like,
and not only buy them at places like Restaurant Depot and like places that like you could buy bulk stuff.
Yeah,
you can buy massive amounts of them.
Yeah, because they're not in the stores anymore, Joe. That's why there's massive amounts, supply and demand. But I love at the end, this one lady asked me at the grocery store, I had like 3 cans of tuna, like a milk, toilet paper, like 12 rolls of toilet paper. I just want you to picture the juggle that I had to do. And I got all this stuff. I got like pie crust. And she goes, do you need a bag? And I was like, does it cost money? And she goes, mm-hmm. And I go, no, I'm good. I walked out of there with tuna cans in my pocket. I was holding everything. I dropped 1 roll of toilet paper, and I waited for her to turn around and do that look like, mm-hmm. Well, I told him to get a bag. I picked up that toilet paper. I'm like, this woman's not going to ruin my day. So like, and I walked out. But I don't want to pay for a bag. I want plastic bags to put in my bathroom. And if I go, you know, I'm like Bill Burr. If I go to the checkout and you're not there, I tried to pay you. You know? You know, it's like, because the 2 people that are at Target that are actually working the checkout line, those 2 people that are standing there, it's like, God forbid, you got 3 people at the Target I go to, there's 3 to 4 people at all times standing parallel to the self-checkout. And when my self-checkout light goes off, they continue to talk, and I look at them and I go, any one of you, I don't have a name tag and I'm not wearing red. Like, I mean, at any point you could come up here, you know, like if I buy Mucinex, you got to come over here and I know you got to put a code in. And then they're like, can I see your ID, sir? And I'm like, no, I'm just using this to mix with a Jolly Rancher and Sprite. It's fine. But
I can't sleep, so this will help.
Yeah, you know, I drink about a bottle a day. You know what I mean? But like, I'm sitting here trying to do your job. I apologize that I'm interrupting your conversation about the last person that came through and what their hair looked like and the fact that guy never called you back. But can we just do this together today? Like, as a team, because I know I'm going to get to I'm 35. I know I'm going to get to a point where I'm just going to walk out. I'm going to go, listen, I tried. You weren't there. I did my best. Or I'm just going to take, you know, like when the bags, and that's the other thing. When the plastic bags are at Walmart and they don't come apart and you can't get them to open. So what I'm going to do is at the end of it all, I'm going to be like, you know what, for my grief, and I'm going to grab the whole thing of 50. I'm like, I'm taking these bags. I need them for my trash.
Well, if you don't take any bags and you're checking out, those people that have to check to make sure you have a receipt, they really look at you sideways.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, I mean, and they do, they're like, we need to see your receipt. I'm like, for what? You know, and I never got that. Like, BJ's would always look at your receipt, and Sam's Club would look at your receipt, but everybody else was like, yeah, if you stole all this stuff, I don't really care. So, like, it always amazed me that some people, you know, it mattered to, and another, and other people it doesn't. But I genuinely cannot stand doing somebody else's job. And Joe, where did customer service go? I mean, like, some places now are fantastic. I'll tell you, like, there's some places that are great now with customer service. Maybe they learned through Corona. I work with companies that I think are very good with their customer service, and that's one of the reasons why I'm proud to work with them, because I couldn't sell something that I don't believe in. But I look at some of these places, and I'm just beyond. Like, I have never gone into a Home Depot or a Lowe's where they've known more than I do. So
Home Depot is tough. They fell off a little bit for sure.
There's no way. Like, I didn't know that I knew about crown molding better than anybody else, and I've never touched it in my life.
I remember I had to replace a light fixture in my house because my wife pulled the string and pulled the whole fixture down.
That's awesome.
So I walked in there and I said, "Oh, I need a new casing for the light bulb."
Yeah.
And I went in there with the same casing that I've had here, and the guy looks at me, and I go, the way he was looking at me, I'm like, "Is this where I'm supposed to be?" Because there's a lot of light bulbs here, so if this is not where I'm supposed to be, just tell me. I'm like, "I'll go where I have to go." And he's like, "No, you're in the right area." And he just looks at it and he goes, "I have no idea what to do with this."
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Well, can you go get somebody else like from this department that would know?" And he goes, "I am from this department. I don't know how you did this." And I'm like, "Well, if you want to know the backstory to this, my wife pulled on a string, the whole thing came down, we almost had a little fire, it was great, we had a big blowout about it, so if you could just get this together, because we have no light in our house right now, that would be great." And he's just like, "I don't know how you're going to fix this." And I'm just thinking to myself, I've done most of my part. I felt like my part was done. I got the fixture off. I got the piece that I need to replace right here.
Right.
I drove to Home Depot. I walked in. I said hello to people. I walked right to the place where there's a lot of lights for no reason on. I'm like, it has to be somewhere here. And then just for this guy to look at me and go, "I don't know if you can do this." And I'm thinking someone did it at some point, so we have to just redo it. So he calls another guy. I'll never forget, the guy's name was Jim. He goes, "Hey, Jim, come take a look at this." And I'm like, "What?" It's like a car accident scene. Like, what the heck is this? So he goes to Jim, and Jim goes, "I've only seen that once ever before, but never here." I'm like, "It didn't happen here. I need to just get this stuff here to go back home to do it myself." And then Jim turns around and he goes, "I would just tell him that he can't do anything about that." I'm like, "The guy already told me." Like, Darren already said that.
Yeah.
So you guys are both on the same team about that. I'm like, "Can I talk to somebody else?" And they're like, "Listen, there's nothing you can do." So what I did was, I FaceTimed a electrician that I knew.
Yeah.
And he knew exactly what to do. And the best part was, Jim followed me around, and while I was on the phone, and at one time I turned around, I was like, "Jim, are you following me?" And he goes, "I just want to know how you're going to do this in case this ever happens again in here." And I'm thinking to myself, this is embarrassing. I wanted one of those little things they have that they can write their name on and get like 65 pins just to walk around, because honestly, sometimes when I work at Home Depot, people think I work there.
Dude, I was, okay, the last time I went to Walt Disney World, I was on the phone standing at the entrance of Animal Kingdom, and I had a shirt on that said Sivak Ho, which is Rise to the Challenge, and it's from Pandora. And this lady, while I'm on the phone, wearing no name tag and with my Sivak Ho t-shirt on, I was standing by a door. That's all I was doing. I was by a door, any door. There was a door in the corner, and I didn't know where it went, but I was standing by it. And she goes, "Excuse me, can you tell me, does this door lead to, oh, you probably don't work here." And I was like, what gave it away? like, I didn't know that if I just went and stand by, if that's the case, then at any door that I stand by, I'm gonna try that at a restaurant now. I'm gonna stand by the door. They're gonna be, "Who are you?" I'm the owner. And just to be honest with you, I think that you guys are gonna have to buy another pizza, before you leave. But I mean, I just, to me, and I get that all the time. I will be walking through Target in sweatpants and like my wake up call shirt on, and they'll go, "This might be a weird question, but do you know where the pillows are?" And I'm like, that is a weird question since I don't work here. However, I do know where the pillows are, and knowing the people that work here, you're never going to find them.
They're sleeping on them.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot tell you how many times I've been in a store where I have helped. I mean, you put me in a Walmart, I'll walk through the entire store. Like I had one person, I asked somebody a question in Walmart, and the guy goes, "That's a good question," and then he walked away.
I like to. Sometimes I'm in places and I just randomly go up to people. I go, "Just let you know the toilet doesn't flush in the men's room," and I'll leave. It'll be a random person, and they clearly don't. Maybe you've never even seen the toilet in that place, and I just go up to them and I'll say that, "Hey, just so you know, toilet doesn't flush in the men's room," and just walk away. And some people try and answer like, "Oh, I don't work." You know, it's okay. I know it's not your fault. I'm just letting you know it doesn't flush. So you want to take care of that,
dude. When I go in the bathroom, I've been in the bathroom before, and the toilet's overflowing. And I walk in, and I'm like, oh, my God, I got to tell somebody. But they have to know I didn't do this. So I always walk up to them, and I go, toilet's overflowing. I didn't do it. I swear. I walked in. I saw it. I walked right out. There's a lady that saw me walk in, walk out. There's no way I could have went to the bathroom in that amount of time. I mean, I could have, but I didn't. So just so you know, because, like, I'll do that at a restaurant. I'm like, hey, somebody overflowed the toilet. It wasn't me. But it's everywhere. And I would probably call someone to fix it, or else you're going to have, like, probably a substantial flooding problem. But I didn't do this. And then they always and I feel like there's always that, like, that look of, like, did he do this? And it's like, I did. So then I have that thing of, like, do I tell anybody about the toilet? Because I don't want them to think I did it. You know? But then, like...
just let it go.
Right, and so I'm like, I don't want the place to flood. I like this restaurant. However, I don't want to tell you about the toilet because I don't want to deal with the repercussions of you telling your manager and then pointing to me and then the manager giving me that look like, that man did that. So I didn't do it. Like, you know, I never know what to do in those situations, but if I had a nickel for every time, you know, now that's what customer service has become. Joe, I have a refrigerator. I've lived in my home it'll be 4 years in May. And I have a refrigerator. I have two. The refrigerator, I know, crazy. The refrigerator I have upstairs, it has a tube that goes into the water supply. And that tube is supposed to allow me to create spontaneously ice. And that ice is supposed to come out of my refrigerator. Well, the tube that was there, the connectors to, it wasn't the right size for my refrigerator, and it was connected to the other refrigerator that was here. So when I brought it to the guy at Home Depot, he said to me, wow, that refrigerator should have never worked with this because this isn't the right connection. And I said, well, I'm not here to talk about the past. It did work. I don't know why it did, but it did. And then the guy goes, yeah, well, I don't even know what to tell you about which one to get. He goes, I guess just look it up, just look at the eye test and take the one you have and just look for a little bit smaller. Joe, there's like 80 connections. I kid you not. So I went there and then I got one and this guy tried to help me, which he didn't. And I bought one myself and I tried to make it fit and it didn't fit. And I sat there for like 2 hours and it didn't fit. And then I got another one and it fit. And then the thing flew off the back of it, and then there's water going, and I had to shut it off. But what I'm trying to tell you is I haven't been able to make ice in 4 years. And there's nobody at Home Depot or Lowe's that can help me figure it out. I will bring them in the thing and go, this is what... I was like, outside of you coming to my house with all 80 of these connections and sitting here with me and my refrigerator, I'm not confident we're going to get this done. And I had a guy look at it, and he goes, huh. Yeah, and he just stared at this little connector, and he went, I don't really know what to tell you.
Yeah, I'm telling you, sometimes you can stump them. I mean, it's, I don't know, it's kind of sad because you kind of go in there with such confidence, and it's not like you lose confidence. Like, I don't think going to Home Depot I'm not going to get the answer, or someplace I'm not going to get an answer. It always, like, resets. Once I leave, I'm like, well, I hope I never get that person again. And you walk in, and then sometimes you just get disappointed again. You're like, gosh, this place is just bad. I remember asking like a paint guy about paint, and he's like, oh, I don't deal with colors, I just mix it. And I'm like, okay. I don't know how to respond to that. And then
I don't deal with colors, I just mix it.
I'll never forget one time I was at the safari in Six Flags. Speaking about people thinking you work somewhere, and we were surrounded by whatever animals they let loose that day, whether it was like the giraffes or the ostriches, or our car was surrounded. And some lady pulls up next to us, and we're in our car, and she goes, "Is the safari open today?" And I said, "Ma'am, there's a giraffe 7 feet from your vehicle. There's an ostrich crossing in front of ours. I'm not in a zebra-looking truck."
I would have looked at her and I would have screamed and I would have been like, "Ma'am, we have a situation. They all got off my farm today, and you know what? It's great that you're here. I'm going to need your help." That's what I would have said to her.
"Ma'am, do you have boat rope in your trunk?"
"Ma'am, is there any chance that you can quack like a duck?" They like that. So...
"We need you to get out of your vehicle and stand on top of your car and act bigger than you actually are."
Do you have small cranberries and can you chirp? That's all I need to know.
They eat trail mix, but they're allergic to the blue M&Ms in them.
By any chance, do you have any plain Cheerios?
Do you have a left Twix?
To bring it full circle. Well, Joe, the last thing that we have to talk about today, and we have just a couple minutes here, the ingredients to success. They're proudly brought to you by Avicolli's, and you and I both being Italian, I think it's important to do this together. It's where I pick a topic every week, and we give the ingredients to success for that topic. I'm going to let you pick the topic, and then you and I will talk about the ingredients to success of that. Brought to you by Avicolli's on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York. What topic do you want to use where we will find ingredients to success for that topic?
How about self-care?
Okay, self-care. What are the ingredients to success for self-care in your opinion?
Well, for me, what I learned is it's a mental thing for me. It's something that I have to overcome, mentally, because I struggle with it in my mind. So if I could become stronger with that, that starts my foundation for basically everything else. Anything else I can basically do, but it's just getting over it with, in my head, my own psyche about it, and everything else kind of takes flight from there.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think this past year has taught me a lot about self-care. One thing, there's two things that I learned that I really put front and center, I would say, today. And that would be that worrying has never solved a problem. It only causes more problems. And then secondly, if something's meant to work out, nothing will stop it. And if it's not meant to work out, then everything will. What'd you say?
It's very true. That if it's meant to work out, it will. There's just no stopping that.
Yeah, that's reality. There's things that are just supposed to happen, and nothing's going to get in their way. They say people are like magnets, and when you find that right attraction, you can't stop those magnets from hitting each other. If somebody's meant to be somewhere, if they're meant to live somewhere, it's going to happen, and the stars are going to align. There's a reason why I lived in Florida. There's a reason why I came back here. There's a reason why I went to Marywood. I remember I had a premonition dream about Marywood, and I couldn't see the Marywood banner, but I could see. I came down to the building, and I went to Nazareth, and I was looking around the building, and I couldn't see what the banner said, and I actually saw the back of someone that was stapling trash bags to the wall for Halloween, and the craziest thing about it was a premonition. That person, my friend Steve Stahl. And then when I stood behind him that October after I had moved in, and I was talking to him while he was putting stuff on the wall, I went, "Oh my God, I've seen this before." And then I walked down to Nazareth, and I looked around the corner, and the thing that God wouldn't let me see because he wanted me to figure it out on my own, the Marywood banner is right around the corner. So, if you're meant to be with somebody, be somewhere, be at a job, nothing's going to get in its way. It's going to happen. So I've learned in life to not worry. And when it comes to self-care, you have to establish value or value will not be established. If you allow somebody to walk all over you, they will do it forever. If you allow your boss to do it, like, you have to establish value. You have to have rules. You have to have parameters to protect yourself. And I think it's vital for self-care to be clear about you want to be respected, you want to be appreciated, or you're not going to stand for it. Because I think so many times people like you and I, Joe, we give so much that sometimes we get taken advantage of. And there's got to be times where we take a step back and go, you know what? I've given you all that I can at this point. If you want more from me, you're going to have to step to the plate.
Yeah, I think the problem that lies there is just assuming that people think the same way you think, because I struggle with that. I just, to me, a lot of things aren't a big deal. And to me, a lot of things can just be kind of either looked past. And I'm not talking about being so loose-ended with my priorities or the way that I feel. I'm just talking in general. To me, it's just never that big of a deal. I just feel like you can just kind of look past it. And there's always a lesson in everything. But to certain people, you can't assume that they have the same way that you deal with things, and also the same way that you treat people. Because I talk to people, and something just doesn't click with them. And I'm not saying that I'm a better person than they are, or they're just a horrible person. It's just you can look at someone and talk to them, and they can literally tell you, no, like I'm not going to treat someone like this, or just the way that they talk to someone. And I'm like, how did you get to that point where you thought that that's okay? Because for me, it's so obvious that it's not.
Yeah. And I think that, you kind of learn in the world that you have to trust yourself. You have to know yourself. And, proper self-care does not come through other people. It comes through you. You're the only gatekeeper. You're the only one with the key that can unlock that door to self-care. And I think it's a beautiful thing. So with that being said, the ingredients to success are brought to you by Avicolli's. Joe, as always, I appreciate it, and I will be talking with you very soon because the world is about to get some more of you and I, and we'll be talking about that soon.
Yes, sir. Great to be here, Dan. Thank you.
All right, take care. I'll talk to you soon. That coming from Joe Forgione this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We'll take our final step aside and be back to wrap up the show right after this.
Avicolli's Restaurant, located right at the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road, is proud to be your local neighbor, growing with you for over 20 years. We're open 7 days a week for lunch, dinner, and drinks. For takeout, delivery, or catering, call us at 315-622-5100. When you order online and use our promo code AVS10, you will save 10% on your online purchase at myavicollis.com. And make sure to join us monthly for our live on-site broadcasts centered around Liverpool athletics. Avicolli's, your local, trusted neighbor right at the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road.
Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
Trapper's Pizza Pub, located on 5950 Butternut Drive in East Syracuse. Right off of Bridge Street is your local community supporter right around the corner. Join us on site at Trapper's Pizza Pub for our live monthly broadcast supporting Central New York student athletes and their sports programs. Call 315-438-4444 for more information. And find us on Facebook and Instagram at Trapper's Pizza Pub. Trapper's Pizza Pub, your local community supporter, right around the corner.
Cafe Cabal Mobile Cafe brings the cafe experience to you. We'll roll out to your neighborhood or office ready to serve our locally crafted espresso bar to our loyal patrons. Inquire at cafecubal.com. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, located on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, is home to over 40 flavors with more than 200 flavors in their total wheelhouse. Sky's the limit for this sweet and savory Central New York company. Keep it local at your parties, fundraisers, wedding showers, baby showers, and more by calling 315-450-MA-PA. That's 315-450-6272 for popcorn bars with custom flavors and colors at your upcoming event. Make sure to visit them on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. And for more information, go to maandpazsnacks.com. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? The Millhouse Market, located on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York, is worth the drive every time. Make sure you download their app on the Apple app and Google Play Store to have their entire menu at your fingertips, from their homemade breads and desserts to their quinoa bowls, rice bowls, salads, brick oven pizzas, and over 30 different sandwiches named after the families that helped to settle what is today's Pulaski. Ingrained in our community, ingrained in our taste buds, Tuesday through Sunday, you can go right through the drive-thru, and contactless pay is there on the app. You can grab and go without having to leave your car. On the weekends, the bistro is open inside for the indoor dining, and of course, their general store has local products from local companies. So many different things converge at the Millhouse Market to bring us local, to bring us kindness, great service, and food that we will drive to however far away we are. That is why the Millhouse Market is absolutely, positively worth the drive every time to 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York. With that being stated, I want to say thank you for tuning into the show today. A big shout out to Bryan Kersey, as well as to Joe Forgione and Avicolli's with the ingredients to success. I had to switch to the hoodie shirt for Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora with the new logo on it with the sun rising out of the coffee cup. Had to put it on today. It's cool in the studio. And big shout out to Mark Products. Make sure you head over there to Mark Products for all of your services. You can look them up, Mark Products in Syracuse, New York, to help bring you such awesome apparel and really anything that you need for your business. They go well beyond apparel. So make sure you call them today and let them know that Wake Up Call and Dan Tortora Broadcast Media sent you their way. For the Cafe Cabal Studios, for Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, I want to say thank you for tuning into the broadcast. Catch us every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt and on wakeupcalldt.com to listen and watch on Facebook Live on facebook.com/livenowdt and youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. You can search our archives on Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn, MixLR, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, Podbean, and of course YouTube to grab Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora anytime, wherever you are, anywhere in the world. And a big time thanks to all of our wonderful partners in the community. Support Central New York at Cafe Cabal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Avicolli's, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Pizza Man, Honda City of Liverpool, Millhouse Market, and Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. You get 20% off at maandpazpopcorn.com by using my promo code DT20. Use it today because it's my way of giving back to the community. So make sure you do that. And you can use that nationwide, DT20 at maandpazpopcorn.com at checkout online for in-store pickup or for delivery. I'll talk with you all soon. God bless. No stress. Do your best. And have a fantastic day.